Welcome to this edition of NCW Magazine. I'm Steve Hair, your host. NCW Live recently received an exclusive tour of a new state-of-the-art mental health treatment facility in Wenatchee. The Parkside Center will be used to treat clients in Chelan, Douglas, Grant, and Okanagan counties. You can check out the tour of the facility, guided by Facility Director Dr. Julie Ricard.
This is Parkside, used to be the Campbell's building. Where we're standing now is going to be our reception area, and then obviously that will be a waiting area that will not look the way it looks currently. This area here where the fireplace is going to be is probably going to be a sitting lounge area. It'll be professionally decorated when we're done. This room in here is going to be one of our smaller conference rooms. Exciting.
Like the colors you put.
Yeah, I think some of the colors, as you'll see, the halls are very long and white, and because of that we're going to be changing and probably modifying the color scheme a bit so patients and residents know where they're at within the building. But at this point we're focused on getting hiring done and working on filling with furniture and lots of beds. So down this hall is going to be our group therapy, and we're going to have a large conference room down here. So this will probably be one of our offices, a maintenance office probably. We'll miss that room there. So this will be our large conference room. And then this will be a group, probably a break room for the staff. Some of the other rooms will be conference areas, so people will be able to, have access to water. We'll also be doing group therapy, so if people are needing to wash their hands or if they get dirty, then we'll be able to manage that. So this will be one of our group therapy rooms. We'll probably be doing 2 to 4 groups during the week, and so this will be one of the rooms that we do that out of. The ideal would be we are also offering some outside people coming in and doing some work on mindfulness and working with people on getting jobs as we get going and helping to kind of support them in moving away from homelessness or transitional housing. So that would be the space that we would do that in. This hallway will be therapy offices, provider offices, and some of the management offices. And then we have 2 exam rooms. This room, and then the next room will have medical exam rooms, so we'll be able to bring providers in from the hospital or the other clinics. If they have patients here that need medical attention, then we wouldn't have to transport them off-site. And the nice part about this facility is every room, but I think 2, have a window. So, I mean, it's really unique in terms of that. So there's no fighting over office space with a window. Yeah. So this hallway that you're facing will be our women's residential. So the women residents will be there. This corner office will be the charge nurse, and then it'll have the security in there. So it's got a monitor set up right now. And so then that will, the nurses will be able to monitor what's happening with the residents.
That's where my office used to be.
That's right.
Oh, was it?
Yep.
Nurses break room right there.
Nice.
Nurses station over there.
That's got to bring up a lot of memories
Oh,
for
yeah.
you. Yeah.
I remember the first patients we had in some of these rooms.
Yeah. That's neat. Now, was this your first facility?
Second one.
Oh, second.
Parkside and Yakima, Union Gap was the first one.
Wow. That's amazing.
Kathy was 4 years old when we moved here.
Now 2, actually.
That's-
Even younger.
Yeah, you were. Yeah.
Rode my trike in the hallways.
Nice. Yeah, well, now I told my son to come over with his hoverboard. I was like, you wouldn't believe the halls we've got. So this wing that you're facing here is going to be the men's residential. And then just on the other side of that door will be our crisis. So this room right here will be the med room. So the residents will get their medications, and that room right there will be a break room, lounge for the staff.
So how many employees do you foresee having yet?
About 48.
Is that right?
Yeah, so we'll have about 48 between the behavioral health technicians, the nurses, CNAs, the psychiatric nurses, the mental health providers, and then management support.
So
Yeah.
Julie, how did you determine that? I mean, like, where do you begin?
Well, I think it was determined for me. So American Behavioral Health kind of gave me the budget and looked at what they had done the RFP for and what made sense in terms of staffing models. And I think the good thing is we're starting there, and then we'll flex as we kind of see. And I think they're already learning. So I think we went to a meeting and the law enforcement felt like security was a major concern. And because of that, I think one of the things that we've already done is change some of the behavioral health technician positions to psych techs. So it kind of ups the level of people who would be the monitor and help with security positions. And so I think they're already flexing, and we haven't even, I'm the first person they really hired. So I think we're already kind of looking at the budget and saying, is this the right thing? Is this the wrong thing? So I think we'll just continue to do that as we go.
And we have to remember that this is supposed to serve not just Chelan and Douglas County, but Grant and Okanagan, which
Absolutely,
is our whole
yep.
ACH region.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think our goal really is to do that. And in fact, today I'm going, this evening actually, to Royal City and doing a forum meeting for the community because they've had 3 youth suicides. And because of that, this facility becomes just that much more important because Grant County is one of our underserved communities that really isn't getting the support at this crisis level for the suicides that are happening within our community. So I think, it's kind of a great gap filler that we have not had at any level, yeah. So these are the men's rooms. You can look in here. I don't know that. I think one of the bonuses to this facility is that when we look at mental health and having a residential treatment, the bonus to that is really that we have all rooms that have windows and we have good natural light coming in. And we know that that helps people kind of recover and get more stable just having that. So I think this facility is unique in that way. Because sometimes even the patients are having to fight over where they get natural light and how they can kind of get seen. So this area in here will be a TV area, a place to sit, and then also some vending machines. And then now we're entering into the crisis part of the facility. And so this will be the nurses' station and where we'll intake people coming in for a crisis. Here, so if we have someone that's coming in from the outside, this would be a place where if a family member is concerned and they have a loved one that they're worried about. So our choice currently right now is to go to the emergency department. Part of this facility's duty in my mind is really to kind of lower the costs and not always have treatment at the highest level. And so the goal is to kind of fill that gap and keep people away from the highest level of care if it's not necessary. And so if we have someone who needs to get an assessment, then we're asking that people in our community get trained, including law enforcement, to be this will be the first stop. So they come here, they would probably come in through that door, meet with the nurse, and then have an assessment person that would work with them. So that would probably be a mental health provider that will then quickly meet with them, determine their level of need. If we are not the right place, so there are exclusions, right? So the exclusionary criteria would be someone with a medical issue that we can't serve and that can't be served in-house. Someone who's needing detox, so maybe they get detox first and then they come back, or someone who's got some violent tendencies that we're not really trained or able to manage within our facility. But outside of that, there's lots of people that I'm well aware of in our community that would be served here. And the crisis unit will work to, if someone's gonna leave our facility and they're maybe not ready to quite go home, but they're not at a level where they need to be managed at a crisis unit, then they would then go to the residential side and maybe have some time where they can still get their needs met while in a safe place. And or if we have someone in the community that doesn't quite meet the need for a crisis unit and all of the services that go with it, but they need time away, then the residential side would be the side to kind of give them that, and then we could still monitor and see if this is something that maybe they're decompensating even further and we need to add more services in, and then we would put them over on the crisis side. So I'll take you over through the crisis unit. So this area here is going to be a lounge and family area. So this unit is unique in that we've taken precautions on suicide risk. And so what you'll notice is the door handles are all suicide safe. And so they're special door handles so people can't hang themselves. And then all of the fixtures in here as well, including the soap containers and everything. The mirror is special, so it won't break, and if it gets taken off, they can't hurt themselves with it. You'll notice the toilets as well as the shower are similar. And then similar for the rooms, you'll notice that the lights, light fixtures are bolted in. So this is the entryway for law enforcement and where they would be bringing people in. This will be a gun holder where they'll be able to deposit their guns in case they worry that someone might take them from them, or it would be a risk for some reason. And then in here's, we've got 2 rooms that are what we're calling restraint rooms. They have a camera. We'll have someone assessing the people, but you can see the door has pretty significant locks on it, as well as, and the room is solid so that it can be wiped down and cleaned if it needs to be, and then it's got all the suicide safe lighting in there and a camera so that we can communicate with anybody that might be in there. And then similar for the shower. This will be a room where we'll have family therapy and meetings or therapy offices. And this will be another med room. That printer will actually get moved out to another room. So ahead of us is the dining area, and this will be the charge nurse area where they can monitor people in the dining hall.
Oh my. It's incredible.
So this is going to be the dining hall. We'll have shifts for the crisis unit versus the residential unit for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then obviously some meals will get served in the rooms if they need it based on ability or issues that might be happening. Our kitchen supplies are still on order, so we've got vacant kitchens, but you can certainly look in them. And so this will be like the dishwashing area, the stove, countertops, more sinks and cooking. And then we'll shortcut you guys across the courtyards back to where we started.
How to do?
And that tree is gorgeous.
I was going to say.
Yeah, and in the front when it blooms, they're all, it looks like they're magnolia trees that they planted.
It's kind of a soothing effect.
Yeah, I love it. And then what you're seeing over here on the other half is the Women's Resource Center Transitional Housing.
Coming up next, we'll hear from important partners in the Parkside project, including Carl Campbell and former state senator Linda Evans-Parlett. Also participating in today's tour here at Parkside is former owner of the Parkside Convalescent Home, Carl Campbell. It's a different facility than what you remember, right, Carl?
Oh yes, entirely different. Beautiful job.
So tell us how this came to be. You donated this property to the city of Wenatchee originally, didn't you?
Yes, I did. It was getting, it was built in 1952, and it was getting pretty old, and yet a solid building, and I hated to see it not used for something. And it was in 1952 that we built this. I built the first one in Yakima at Union Gap, and it was alongside of a park there, so we called it Parkside, and took the name up here because of Lincoln Park up here, and the sewer was being, and the garbage was all being dumped down where the current park is there now. But we named it Parkside because the city assured me that they were going to convert that to a park, so that's how we got the name Parkside. Mm-hmm. In 1952, we built it seismically, had an architect in Seattle that designed part of it, but the need was there. Miss Julia Brenner was operating East Wenatchee and a lot of old houses, but Parkside was the very first one that I built, and so it has a lot of memories for me and the family. I lived across the street, and that was a mistake in a way because everybody knew where I lived. Mm-hmm. And my wife Betty was a wonderful part of it. She was a good nurse, and we had a lot of good help and staff, and I still see staff downtown that work for me and work for some of the other new administrators. But my son Danny was 7 and Kathy was 2, and she was kind of the sweetheart of the facility, and she'd take her naps. A couple of ladies that would make room for her to take a little nap, and she was the darling of the place. And my mother-in-law, of course, did the laundry, and in those days, when we hung it out on the clothesline, we didn't have money for an extractor to extract the water out of the laundry, and so it was a humble beginnings. And I learned a lot of good lessons here, which in later years I've used. One thing I remember is that the furniture was all ordered, and a train load of it came down on the track. Mm-hmm. And they says, "Well, Mr. Campbell, your furniture's here, and you can pick it up, but there's $8,600 of freight, FOB." And so I had borrowed money from Don Kirby and the Seattle First National Bank, and I didn't have money to pay for the furniture, so I borrowed money on my car, which was free and clear, $800, brought the furniture out and set it up. Dr. Hoxie was the very first man, and Dr. Bolton, Dr. Mayers from the clinic was here and began to give us patients. And by the end of the first month, I think we had 19 patients in the building. And I was a little discouraged, but my wife Betty never gave up on anything that I tried to do, and she was a wonderful lady. And by the end of the next month, I had 24, and pretty soon that 44 beds were full. So Wenatchee's been a great place to raise family, and Parkside was my very first venture into healthcare.
Can you give us a sense of how you feel personally about the repurposing of this property for this particular use?
I think it's a wonderful use of the facility. The architect has done a beautiful job in designing everything that we need here in the county, and the things that are not being served. And as I'm in the healthcare business yet a little bit, the needs are just not being met, and going to the hospital, and that's a very expensive trip. And we need a facility like this to care for people, and so I'm delighted to see it used as this.
Very good. Well, thank you very much for letting us share some time with you.
Sure, you bet.
Of course, the existence of the Parkside facility wouldn't be possible without the work in Olympia to get the funding and the whole concept together. And to that end, former Senator Linda Evans Parlett played a critical role. Let's talk about the evolution of the Parkside facility and how it came to be.
Well, it really started, the way I remember it, with the conversation from Mr. Campbell way before the money in the budget occurred. Because this was a nursing home that was built in 1952, wasn't being operated anymore. And he asked me, because I used to rent from him as a senator, my office was in one of his Colonial Vista buildings, and he asked me what the need was in North Central Washington, because he had this building. And I think I'd had a conversation in the past with Dr. Rutherford from Confluence Health, was Wenatchee Valley Medical Center at the time, about the need for a mental health campus. And the seed was planted, and the discussions began, and then eventually we knew how much money we would need, and the money ended up in the budget, capital budget.
Fantastic. And certainly it's going to fill a great need in the valley.
It will. What's special about this place to me is I started my pharmacy career at Wenatchee Clinic Pharmacy, and I used to deliver prescriptions to this place when it was operated as a nursing home. So it just seems so amazing. And Mr. Campbell talked about in his interview some of the original doctors. They were all practicing when I started at the clinic pharmacy. Dr. Mayers, Dr. Haug, Dr. Hoxie, Dr. Smith. There were 25 physicians then. So a lot has changed.
Definitely have. You work pretty closely with Tamara.
Yep.
Tamara, is it?
Cardwell Burns.
Tamara Cardwell Burns, who actually directs the activities with the behavioral health organization here.
Right. So it used to be Regional Support Network, and then when the integration of behavioral health and physical health started in the state of Washington, the names of all the RSNs got changed to BHOs, Behavioral Health Organizations. And I give Tamara a lot of credit for making it happen. I mean, she did the work, and let's see what she has to say.
Absolutely. Tamara, congratulations on getting this facility up and running. As I understand, it's slated for opening when, in June?
I believe in June now.
In June now.
Yes.
So what does this mean to this 3-4 county area to have a facility like this? Why is it so special?
I think it's very special just because of the content of the Campbells donating the facility, the amount of people that have been involved in the process to make it happen, and how many people have stuck through with the process from day one to finish. So just seeing that and knowing that this is such a needed resource for the 4 counties, that it hasn't been available, to have that is huge.
Walk us through the situation right now. The way it is right now, a lot of the people that would be served by this facility are being treated at the higher levels of health care.
Correct. So right now, people can either go to MU1 at Central Washington Hospital on what's called a single bed certification, and that's something that has been helpful to our community because at least people could stay right here in the counties. With Grant and Okanagan coming on board, we don't have a facility for any of the 4 counties to allow for people to be closer. So currently, people are kind of going all over the state to receive the care that they need, and sometimes can be up to a 6-hour travel time for the families to go and visit and for the individual. So this is a huge resource.
As a crisis care facility, that's really going to be helpful to you, and as I understand, you'll be working hand in hand as well with law enforcement as well.
Yeah, correct. ABHS will be taking over the operations of this facility, and the BHO will fully dissolve probably by the end of May once we finish all the financial closeout, and then it will be up to ABHS and the community. Law enforcement has been a huge partner for us in this process, and I think all those partnerships have stayed intact, and it's going to be amazing.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of NCW Magazine. For more on the Parkside facility, log on to our website at ncwlife.com. I'm Steve Hair.